Hey there, Dave. I wanted to make a little video where we continued our discussion the other day of arpeggios. So, and how to use them maybe in a blues soloing context. So, if we look at blues in the key of A, right in the middle of the fretboard. So, at the fifth fret we have our A7, the one chord, or if you really want to emphasize the seventh, right? Then the four chord D7. Back to the one chord, then the five chord E7, D7, the four chord A7, right? So typically, what do we use to solo over this? Well, what I was taught, and everybody is taught and loves and knows so well, the A minor pentatonic, right, which at the fifth fret, the box one position, if you will, And guys like Carlos Santana and Eric Clapton made their living with the minor pentatonic scale, and they're true masters of it. And the beauty of the minor pentatonic scale is that no matter which chord in the progression is being played, A, D7, or E7, you can play that scale. So I'm going to put on a backing track in the key of A. I'm not playing a solo or anything fancy. I'm just going to go up and down the minor pentatonic just for a second to give the idea. Right, and so on. And that is what it is, and it's fine. So years ago I was taking guitar lessons, and my guitar teacher said, put on a backing track in the key of A and do a little solo for me. Now typically I'd put distortion on, but I'm intentionally playing clean here because I want you to hear the notes. So I put on the backing track and I did something roughly like this for him. And he listened to that and he said, well, okay. He said, that's nice in the minor pentatonic. What else you got besides the minor pentatonic? And I said, well, what else is there besides the minor pentatonic? And he kind of laughed, and that's when the discussion of the arpeggios started. So with the arpeggios, if you take a look at the first chord of the progression is A7, right? And that's just the first, third, fifth, and flat seventh of the scale. So if we play the individual notes of the A7 or A dominant 7, same thing, chord, and we play them individually as an arpeggio, the arpeggio pattern goes something like this. There's a bad note in there, sorry. So when the one chord is playing the A7, any note that I just played in the arpeggio is going to sound great and fit perfectly because those notes in the arpeggio are the actual notes of the chord. When the progression switches to D7, the 4 chord, now we can play the D7 or D dominant 7 arpeggio, which goes... sorry. One more time. I'm doing it again. And when we play the E7, we can play the E7 arpeggio over that chord. So putting those three arpeggios together, I'm just going to play the A7 arpeggio, D7, and E7. And you can start to hear that. Well, let's go back to the backing track for just a minute. And as the chords are changing, the arpeggio is going to be changing. The difficult part of this is, as opposed to the minor pentatonic scale where you can play the scale over any of the chords, in the arpeggio mode, if you will, you have to change the arpeggio as the chord changes. I'm not trying to be musical right now or anything like that. I just want you to get your ear to hear a little bit of the arpeggios over their appropriate chords. Okay, so that was not any kind of attempt to be musical or anything like that. It's just so you could start to hear the different arpeggios over the chords. Now, I'm going to just solo a little bit over the A backing track. I'm going to be slightly musical, but the thing that I want you to pay attention to here is I'm not using any pentatonics at all. The only thing that I'm going to be using is the appropriate arpeggio over the chord. But I'm not just going straight up and down the arpeggios, just like I wouldn't go straight up and down the pentatonic scale. I'm going to put little riffs and things in, but the only notes I'm using are the arpeggio notes. And again, no distortion. It would sound better with distortion. So let's just do a little bit of that. Okay, so that is a little bit of soloing with just the arpeggio. Now, if you mix the two together, if you put some A minor pentatonic in and the appropriate arpeggio notes or licks over the backing track, it starts to get a lot more interesting. And for that, I'm just going to put on a little bit of distortion, because everything sounds better with distortion, right? And I'm not going to play a lot. I'm just going to play a little bit, and I'm going to try and mix the two up a little bit just to give you the flavor how things get more interesting when you add arpeggios into your minor pentatonic. That was all pentatonic, right? Arpeggio. Pentatonic. Arpeggio. Arpeggio. Pentatonic. Arpeggio. Pentatonic. Arpeggio. 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 Okay, so you get the idea how your solo can become a lot more creative when you mix the two together. I hope you found this at least mildly interesting and maybe give yourself some more ideas for the future. The drag of it is there are 7 different positions for each arpeggio, and my instructor is a little bit of a stickler, so you had to know them all. So, if you have the A arpeggio here, it's also here. And there's 5 more, which I know I won't bore you to death. All right, Dave. Take care. Bye-bye.